As we gather in this place and on this land, we pause and we bring to heart and mind that in this region we live, play, work, and worship on lands that are the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded lands of the Algonquin Nation and the Mi'kmaq peoples. We acknowledge that our ancestors, that we have not always lived in relationships of respect and peace and friendship. We acknowledge the legacy of pain that is part of our past and our present. And we acknowledge the grief and sorrow caused by our actions and inactions, by our words and by our silence. And we are sorry for the ways that we have dishonored one another. And so we look to our spirit guides. We pray that they may always remind us of the interconnectedness of all creation and all creatures, of all people. May we continue to listen with respect and understand with patience and live in friendship, embracing always the healing grace of this place, of this land, as we seek to live in wholeness, reconciliation, and respect. And so welcome to this sacred place, and welcome to this holy place, and welcome to this time, and welcome to this day. It is good to be together. No matter where we come from, and no matter what brought us here, whether we are deep believers or questioners or doubters or struggling or firm in our faith, here we find a place for us. This is a place of welcome for all. And so we come to what I've been calling Summer 22 at Pictou United Church. And the Creator worked for us this morning and gave us this beauty of a day to enjoy. The season of summer for us in the Northern Hemisphere was ushered in with the summer solstice of June. But it often feels like it isn't till July, and it isn't till Lobster Carnival weekend that summer feels in full swing. And somehow, I know it is for me, that just in that embracing of the summer season, we begin to feel how brief it is. We begin to look at the days and think, how can it be? Already we're heading towards the middle of July. The lunar calendar tells us that summer is, or it feels brief, 93 days. That's our season of summer. But oh, how we long for these days and long for the gifts of summer. And so it's appropriate today that as we gather, we will lift up the many gifts of summer. Poet Wendell Berry in his poem Sabbath writes, "Who now can believe in winter? In winter, who could have hoped for this?" We do live in hope. As we gathered together this morning, just a few announcements as we gather. If you look at your bulletin and the dedication that's there, it's a dedication that was in last Sunday's bulletin that we had to postpone, but again, we offer it this morning. This morning's bulletin is dedicated in loving memory of Doris Young and in celebration of her passion, dedication, and commitment to Pictou United Church. July 4th would have been Doris's 100th birthday, and the family wanted to offer the bulletin in celebration and in love, and we do, in love, fondly remember Doris and her legacy of faith. Again, just want to, as we gather, a thank you to Paula, who is offering our ministry of music this summer. So a thank you to Paula and this morning to the members of our choir and to Sally for, again, offering the ministry of music. Invite you to also pay attention to our summer schedule, and a reminder that we're trying something new in this summer 2022. As this coming Wednesday, we'll be gathering, we hope, in Spirit Glen. If not, we'll move inside, but we're going to try something new. People say, why do we have to always gather on Sunday mornings? We don't. So we're going to gather on a Wednesday evening and at 7 p.m. for a midweek hymn sing worship. So a worship filled with lots of music and hymn stories, and we'll gather out here in Spirit Glen. And this Wednesday, we're going to be joined by Amelia Parker and her fiddle. Amelia has a very busy summer if you follow Amelia on Facebook, but she's going to be with us on Wednesday to offer the gift of music and the gift of her fiddle. And then notice that our next Sunday worship gathering will be our Sunday morning yoga in Spirit Glen with yoga teacher Brianna McIsaac on Sunday, July 24th, and then back here for another summer Sunday worship on July 31st. So please take note of that. And again, the summer schedules are where the bulletins are. And there's also the summer soul strolls. If you didn't pick up your soul stroll, that's there. And again, a thank you to Lynn and to Carolyn, who will be hosting us for some refreshments following our worship. An announcement that's not in the bulletin, but's important, is that Cairn, Community to Assist Refugees Now, we received some big news this week. We've officially received the flight details for our new family, for the Aladdin family. So Mohammed, Rasha, their children Messa and Abdulmadid, and the cousin Fadi, set to arrive, all going well, on July 29th at the Halifax airport. We have secured accommodations and in the Pine Street apartments, but we will need to be getting ready those accommodations and preparing for the welcome. So if you're able to help out at all, you can speak to myself or Stephen McKenzie. But also this coming Wednesday at 1 p.m. we'll be meeting here to begin some of the plans for the arrival of our new family. So if you can be with us at 1 p.m., that's great. If you just want to help out in any way, just tell me and I'll add your name to the list. Anything else that needs to be made? As Sandy's shaking his head. Get on with it. As Donna lights our worship candle, it's also known as the Christ candle. And we bring to mind the one who once said, I am light. You are light. As we gather together, may we awaken to the Spirit deep within, all around, in all peoples, in the earth beneath and the skies above, in all creation and creatures. May the Spirit of the Holy move through us, inspiring us, empowering us, blessing us, that we might be a blessing. In the gift of this new day, in the gift of the present moment, in the gift of time and eternity intertwined, Let us be grateful. Let us be attentive. Let us be open to what has never happened before. In the gift of this new day, in the gift of the present moment, in the gift of time and eternity intertwined. As we ground ourselves in this time and in this space, as we ground ourselves in God and all that is holy and sacred, we turn to the ancient practice of a breath prayer as a way to center ourselves and pause and be attentive to ourselves and to these moments. And so I invite you just to take a moment to breathe in deeply. And then to breathe out. To breathe in deeply. And then to breathe out. Our breath is often so shallow. But we need to breathe in and to breathe out. To inhale and let the holy approach us. To hold that inhale and to feel the holy within us. And to the exhale and move into the presence of all that is holy. To surrender to God, to offer our silent prayers, to feel God's breath in us, to feel God's breath all around us. Breath. Remember, it's the first thing we do when we come into the world. And it's the last thing we do when we leave this world. The breath in and the breath out. Let us pray. Holy mystery, fill us. May today there be peace within. May we trust our highest power, that we are exactly where we are meant to be. May we use those gifts that we have received and pass on the love that has been given to us. May we be content knowing we are children of God.
Sorry. 2 rocks wasn't enough. It looks like a Jewish cemetery up here. Okay, so sorry. Okay. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Flow with
Summer, indeed, as the poet Wendell Berry reminds us, is a season of abundance. The abundance of creation and creator poured out upon us and poured out for us. Just take a look around. The abundance of creation. And so this morning I invite us to open our ears and our hearts to a story that affirms the abundance of creation and creator and creatures. As we turn to an ancient story, but an ancient story that has been revisioned for our day and for our time. A story that's found right in the beginning of our scriptures, in the very beginning. A very, very, very old story, told in a very, very new way. It is the creation story as told by Sister Miriam Therese Winter. In the beginning, in the very beginning, God gave birth. God delivered. God created. God created the heavens and the earth. Out of the womb of fertile divinity emerged our mother, the earth. The earth was formless and empty. There was a darkness over the deep, and the Creator paused and pondered and contemplated. The Creator's brooding spirit hovered, restless over the face of the waters, but yet savoring in the stillness, embracing that magical moment, contemplating that cord that bound Creator to creation. And the Creator loved the fruit of her womb with all of its potential for good. But then the Creator God broke the silence and began to sing, "Let there be light." And the sunlight chased the shadows, and God danced with the moon and the stars, and God sang all life into being, the seeds and the trees, the shrubs and the fruits and the flowers, the birds that took to the heavens and the creatures that kept to the earth. And God sang, "Let there be life." Life fashioned in the image of God, in the image of all that is holy. So the Holy One created humankind in the image of all that is holy and sacred and good. The Holy One created them, male and female, female and male, created them out of the earth and from the mud and from the muck, created in the image of the Creator. And then there was breath. The Creator gave life. Pneuma, ruah, spirit, the very breath of breath, life, birthing and forming and energizing and empowering and loving and transforming and embracing and comforting. The breath of life moving in all and through all. And it was good. It was good. It was good. It was very good. And it is good. It is very good.
Oh, beautiful God, oh God.
Just thought, as an aside, it's interesting just to note this hymn, and at the bottom, the credit by songwriter Carolyn McDade, who is an American who makes her home in Cape Cod, but has deep connections to the United Church and many friends within the United Church. And for many years, Carolyn would come just down the road to Tatamagouche Center, and every summer would have a summer songwriting, song singing. And this hymn was created at one of those song singing, songwriting circles in Tatamagouche Center, just down the road. So we can claim some connection to that beautiful hymn and certainly the lyrics that speak to our context. Summer. I want you to think about for a moment, to ponder, if you will, what gifts does this season hold for you? What would you name as a gift of summer? Author Parker Palmer writes this: "Summer is a season when all the promissory notes of autumn and winter and spring come due, and each year the debts are repaid with compound interest. In summer, it's hard to remember that we ever had doubted the natural process, that we ever had ceded death to be the last word, that we ever lost faith in the powers of new life." For the biblical writer, perhaps the gift of the changing seasons and the gifts of summer is that invitation to pay attention to beauty and to bounty, to fragility and awe, to wonder and the gifts of creation and creator, the gifts of life reborn, to pay attention to the oneness of the stars, the energy of the earth that calls forth life, the living colors that fill our eyes and our days, that summer basket of vegetables that overflows each week and keeps on adding. It's hodgepodge season, I've been told. Every week, another gift of summer. And it is good, isn't it? It is very good. Jesus in the gospel says, look at the birds of the air. Look at the flowers of the field. I heard someone once said that a perfect summer day is when the sun is shining, the breeze is blowing, the birds are singing, and the lawnmower is broken. What are the gifts of summer that speak to you? I invite you to open your ears and hearts to some words that come from Macria Winkarter. She's a Benedictine sister, a spiritual guide and teacher, and she writes these words in a little essay called Summer, a Season for Living. Today I've come out from behind my walls, away from my office. It's summer, and in spite of the heat, I feel strangely happy. Instead of writing this in an air-conditioned office, I've chosen to be outside, where summer's breath insists that I drink from the cup of reality. And so here I sit in this large earth sauna. But I'm in the shade of my favorite tree. And I'm suddenly aware how I have often distanced myself from nature. As I listen to summer's call, I discover that I've lost part of myself behind those office walls. I have been housed and sheltered too well. Walls have made me a stranger to the earth. My office sometimes makes me feel more important than I am, and I lose sight of the essentials. And one of those essentials is touching the earth. Summer invites me to plant my feet upon the earth. But the best teachers to help us enjoy the summer are children. They don't work in offices, and they don't own calendars with tasks crying out for what should be done. But I love to see the parks fill up each summer. The children's return to the earth is a good example for us. And so when school is out and the children swarm the streets and the parks and the pools and the beaches and campsites, I am joining them, lest I grow old before my time. Under my tree, away from my childhood summers, I'm lost in reverie. It's not the swimming pools and the city parks that I remember. I see the creeks and the forests and those swimming holes of long ago. These are some of the memories that speak to me of summer. Bare feet in the creek bed, tadpoles and tiny fish swimming between my toes. The challenge of catching crawdads and watching for snakes and hanging from tree limbs and jumping into pools of water. The forests, the meadows were my office because that's where I did my best work. Some of us grown-ups tend to be obsessed with making a living, when what we should be doing is making a life. We become too preoccupied with living a reason for doing what we do every day. But children don't need a reason to face each day. Life is the reason. Children can more easily live from the center, from their hearts. It's a purer kind of living, that living in the moment. Sacramental is the word I would use to describe my childhood summers. A sacrament is a tangible symbol that leads one into a sacred presence. Summer was sacramental. My memories go back to those sacramental moments of childhood summers. You know that sound? That thump, thump, thump? That tapping of the watermelon, trying to discern if it was it was ripe. Thump, thump, thump. And then that sacramental moment of feeling your toes in the grass, your bare feet. Today, I can scarcely believe that I darted through tall grasses without even a thought of snakes or ticks or anything else. I thought the earth heard me coming and perhaps rejoiced in the thought of me walking on her body. This is my body, the earth proclaimed. You are part of me and I am part of you. Our earth is sacred. We need to hear her voice once again. And at night, there are 1,000 little things singing from the trees. The night sounds delighted me and lulled me to sleep. As a child, we had such a thing as we called resurrection bugs. We would find the shells that had shed from them hanging in the tree. And we decided somewhere along the way that they had climbed out of them, just like Jesus had come out of his tomb. That's why those bugs were singing. It was like an Easter cry. That was my childhood theology. We would gather mounds of these resurrection shells during those wonderful summers and return them to the earth. Those were days when I prayed summer without knowing it was a prayer. Sacramental living at its best. But what I miss most of those childhood summers are the porches. They were like outdoor chapels where family was brought together. Porches were the places where on a lucky night the breeze passed through and there were stories and songs and games. And we each took turns swinging on that porch swing. What our world needs now is more porches. What our world needs now is more songs. What our world needs now is more swings. What the world needs now is more of us who are not afraid to sit on them. How easily the seasons speak to me of God. And as I sit here under my tree, experiencing the heat, longing for rain, I realize that I don't have the same fondness for summer that I once had as a child. My childhood summers didn't include the thought of heat. I simply don't remember being hot. I was just involved in life. There was no time for discomfort. Summer is a celebration of life, a time to live intensely, holding nothing back. As a child, I was quite successful at living a life because I had not yet learned to live by the calendar. As a child, I lived life. I lived by the heart, and that was the gift of summer. What gift does summer hold for you? What are those gifts of a summer day? Perhaps you need to ask yourself, what are the gifts of a childhood summer day that as adults we have forgotten? On this beautiful, beautiful, grand day, what's the gift that this season is offering to you? Let us pause in a moment of prayer. Creator One, thank you for this season of sun and slow motion, for this season of games and porch sitting, for this season of picnics and carnivals and fireflies, for this season of purple evenings and gentle breezes, for these long days of creation. May this season hold out to us gifts that we have forgotten. May the songs of the crickets, the laughter of play, the colors and the abundance of the gardens remind us of the goodness of life, the goodness of each moment, the godness of each day. Help us to live easily and gracefully for a spell, so that we might be alone, that we might be together, that we might be blessed by unhurried moments. May sunlight and shadows, blue skies and starry nights remind us of the abundance of your love and your life that is right here, just for our enjoying. May it be so. Amen.
ancient love was born. Long before she wrapped her scarlet arms around the hills, there was a love, this ancient love was born. Wakeful are our nights, and slumbers are morning. Stubborn is the grass, sowing green wounded hills. As we wrap our healing arms to hold what her arms held, this ancient love, this aching love rolls on.
Question for you. What are some of the things you do to take care of yourself? Garden? Sleep? Eat well? Walk? Lift weights? Read a book. Knit. So speaketh the prayer shawl knitters. Anyone here take vitamins? Mm-hmm. Any medication that you take to take care of yourself? Go for massages, anyone? Yeah? You have? Things we do to take care of ourselves, to keep us healthy, to keep us well, right? Going for ice cream, right? Going to the beach. Did you know? What? What do you do to take care of yourself? Ride your scooter. Go to the beach. But you know what I was reading? That one of the best ways to feel healthy and good and to keep your heart strong and to face each day with new vim and vigor is to take a moment to be grateful. That gratitude is one of the best things that we can do to take care of ourselves. To take that time. I've often talked about Carrie Newcomer and her poem, 3 Gratitudes, and that invitation at the end of every day to pause and to name 3 things for which you're grateful. And somehow naming those 3 things becomes 4 things and 5 things and 6 things. And we become aware of that for which we are grateful. Write them down. It doesn't dismiss the hard parts of life or the struggles or the sorrows or what's the injustices, but it makes us become aware. And in that awareness, it opens our hearts and it allows the blood to flow. And that is good. What are you grateful for this morning?
The sunshine.
Sunshine.
And you.
Oh, thank you. I'll pay you after, Beth. What else are
Family.
family? Anyone grateful for carnival? No. Grateful. What are you grateful for? This place. Grateful that we can be here together, that we have that ability to gather here. Grateful for everyone who makes it possible. Grateful for all the work that goes into being here. Grateful for this church home we call Pictou United Church. We are blessed. And because we are blessed, we share those blessings with others prayerfully and generously, gratefully. For this day, for each moment, for each of us, for the gifts of this day, we give thanks. As you're able, please join me in an affirmation of faith that is printed in the bulletin. On my best days, I believe that God is there, standing in the sun with me, laughing a contagious laugh and cheering me on. On my hardest days, I believe that God is there, standing in the rain with me, holding me up and sharing in my grief. No matter where I go, in joy or in loss, in pain or in love, in heartache or in gratitude, I believe that God is there, leaning in, noticing where it hurts and carrying me through it. And so I believe we are called to care for each other, giving life and voice to a caring God. So again, a reminder and invite you to share the word about our Wednesday evening service here in Spirit Glen with hymns and music, and especially the music of Amelia Parker this coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Also, again, a thank you to Carolyn and Lynn for hosting us for a cool drink and a cookie following our worship just in front of the church doors. If you've been using your stroll, your summer stroll, soul stroll handout, you'll notice at the end of each stroll there's a version of the Celtic Blessing, often called the Irish Blessing, that is there and offered in a different way each time. And so we're going to use that blessing as a way for us to be blessed as we move out into our day and into the world each Sunday. I invite you to join with me as printed in the bulletin. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of her hand.